All right, you guys, we're back here doing some volume formulas. We are talking about finding the exact and the approximate for all the volumes. In this case, we actually have a different situation because we're given the volume and we need to find one of the dimensions. So we have the height of a cylinder, which has a total volume of 878.92 cubic inches, and we have a radius of 2 inches. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug in the pieces of information into the formula that you can see right there, and we're just going to go ahead and solve backwards to figure out what that height is. So we know the volume is right here. It's 878.92, and then we are going to take the pi. I'm going to actually rearrange this. Now I know the radius right here because it says it right here. So I'm going to plug the radius in first because order of operations, we're going to do that. Then I'm going to put the pi, and then I'm going to put h at the end. And the reason why is because I'm solving for h. So I want the variable that I'm looking to find at the end, so it's a little bit easier to locate. Now this should be easy enough to do. 2 squared is 4. So you have 4 pi times h, and then it's equal to what we have. Now, what I like to do next is I'm going to do this in one shot here. This is all multiplication. So I'm going to do the opposite operation, which is to divide. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 4 pi, because I can do that. I can do them one at a time if you want, but I'm going to do them together. Now there's a little trick though when you're putting it into the calculator. Notice that I'm putting parentheses around this because order of operations is super duper important with this. Now this is going to cancel with that. That's going to make 1. So that's going to make 1h, which is what we want. So the height is going to equal something, which is this portion right here. So on our calculator, we're going to do 878.92 because that was the volume. We're going to hit divide, but we're going to make sure that we put parentheses around that 4 pi, because if we don't, it's going to divide by 4 and then multiply by pi. So order of operations is super duper important in these. You can see I now put it in parentheses. I hit equals. We get roughly 69.94. So if I'm rounding to the nearest 10th, this is going to be 69.9 because that 4 is not going to round it up any. So we're going to leave it at 69.9, and that is in inches, and that would be my finalized answer for this one. Now we're going to just move down to this one and do this particular volume question, which is a hemisphere with a diameter of 3.75. So you can see I have the formula, 2 pi r cubed divided by 3. Now the diameter here is 3.75, but I want to cut that in half so I can use the radius, 1.875. And now I'm going to plug it into my formula. I like to do the radius first because you have order of operations. You want to make sure that you are appropriately putting them in. And then we're going to multiply that times the 2, then times pi, because we do want to do exact and approximate. So we are going to need to use that pi number or the symbol. So we're going to do 1.875, that's the radius. And we're going to do to the 3rd power. So on this calculator, we're going to use this button right here. Put that in there and then type in 3. That's to the 3rd power. And we're going to get this 6.59, blah, 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 blah. It's a terrible number. But we're going to use that. And now we're going to times that by 2. While we're using all the numbers, and we get this number. Now what I'm going to do is end up doing that divided by 3, and I'll make sure that that does not get in there. Divided by 3, and we're going to hit that, and we're going to get this number. So this is going to be my hemisphere's number.